My name is Hasan Zahrani. Around 33 years of experience with Saudi Aramco, and mostly in the upstream and a little bit in the downstream, facility planning, central engineering, what have you. Currently, I am the president and CEO of Luberef, and this is Saudi Aramco and Ajadwa joint venture. Our main line of business is really producing and marketing base oil locally and internationally. I think there are four, I would say, dimensions to look at. First dimension is the thought leadership, or the thought perspective, in terms of visioning, strategy formulation, thinking and making decisions with the minimum data available, analytical ability. That's all under the thought leadership. The second dimension would be result attributes or leadership. There are expectations from the shareholders. They has to protect their interest. So it has to be a result-driven organization in terms of target and stretch targets, in terms of performance measurements. So he has to be a result and focused chairman. I would say the third perspective or dimension is the people perspective. He'll be dealing with different people, and those people are shareholders or stakeholders. They have different interests. So he has to be balanced and situational. He has to balance between the interest of owners of the business, the interest of the organization, interest of other directors, interest of the CEO and his team. So this is what I mean. He has to be balanced and juggle. He has to be situational. The last, I would say, dimension is personal dimension. He'll be working under a lot of pressure, a lot of criticism. I'm sure few chairmen, they have only one position. He has different roles and duties. So the time available is quite tiny. So this would create a lot of pressure. So he has to perform under that pressure. The integrity is quite very critical, especially when you talk about any control and governance. After all, boards is behind effective governance, and the integrity is an essential part of that. Last item under this, I would say developing himself. Being a chairman is not the perfect guy. Still, he needs to recognize there are areas of improvement and areas of development. He has to recognize that and work for it. So in summation, the thought leadership, the result leadership, the people leadership, and personal leadership has to come together to make an effective chairman. Relationship based on trust, understanding, support, encouragement. If that take place, I think the rest by default it happens. The chairman would be the music, I would say, notes composer, while the CEO is really the maestro, and his team or the company would be the orchestra. So these three has to be aligned and complement each other. I have to agree to the notes, I have to sing it, I have to master it in order for my team to master it. Otherwise, the song or the music will not be heard by the audience. In this case, would be the other shareholders and the stakeholders. So it's a complementary relationship all the time. It depends. Is this member newly assigned to this board? Is this his first assignment to the board? Is this new business to him? Also depends on the status of the company. Is this company listed company, unlisted? Is it family, not family? Is it in country or abroad? What sort of business? Are we expanding? Are we downsizing? Are we divesting? Are we growing? So all that has to be considered. Each director should ask himself what I'm bringing to the table. What's my contribution? Am I here only the examiner? Am I here representing the governor, say? Am I the auditor only? Am I only the financial man? Are we making money or not? It's really all the above, plus contribution with the team. Starting with visioning, strategy formulation, all the way to going through performance measurement, all the way to incentives, all the way to clarity. So it's really a combination. It's not a standalone role, and it's a dynamic role. It's changing with the status of the company, changing with the status and the capability of the other director. We assume that everybody is effective. That is ideal, and this is not the case. Some people, they don't attend. Some people, they attend unprepared. Some people, they sidetrack the discussion. Some people, they don't know the business, but they are there for another good reason. So you have to really consider, don't be too academic about it. You have to be very realistic and practical about it. So, but the chairman, again, plays a major role in the behavior and the dynamics, whether directors or the CEO. He could, as I told you, he is the music notes composer. He could make it loud, he could make it slow. So he is the man that would set the tone. Absolutely it is. Let me cite an example for you. We talk about board effectiveness and so forth. If you want to improve it, you need to measure it. If you want to know it's effective, you need to measure it, i.e. board evaluation. Right now in the books, it says optional, good to have, unless it is mandatory. Now, some business owners, they took upon themselves that they would go and do the evaluation. But regulator has a major play in making effective boards, i.e. better control and governance, i.e. better economy growth. So definitely the regulator is a key to not only enforce but accelerate the application of board effectiveness. So when the economic crisis took place, and also some companies went down, without naming companies, business owners and boards start looking at the governance, and we need to further tighten the belt. We need to have more structural approach. Now the new investors, foreign investors coming in, and this is what's going to happen. This particular item would be critical than ever. If I'm an investor, I want to make sure that this particular piece is I know how it's being done, transparency. I know level of reporting. I want to have comfort, but my investment is immune from any potential risks. And unless this governance is in place, unless the regulator, and this is where the regulator comes in, demands for a certain structure of control, governance, seeking effectiveness board, I think investment might be hesitant to go forward. So there are major implications in the Kingdom and GCC not to improve effectiveness of the governance of the boards and the companies. But if there are an overall arching advice, would be preparation, preparation, preparation before going into any committee or board. Make sure you know the business. Make sure you the material. Typically, sometimes he might not have enough material, so he should ask for the material. So preparation is a key for productive participation and key for a good dynamics within the board. He has to know when to fly and when to dive. You know, the hand and the nose. I think you know it. So he has to really all the time fly and be looking at the big picture and really and provide an enterprise leadership. But sometimes there are issues. He knows to decide when to dive and to what level. So it's not only the 5,000 meter high fly, sometimes, you know, to deep into the ocean and look at the issues, see the implications. I think this is three advices: preparation and the careful and productive dynamics, and when to fly and when to dive. I think more than enough. If he masters those three, I think the rest would come.